Hello and welcome, it's Adam from betterproposals.io here, and I'm here today in Slovenia and just about to leave on a little trip to Zagreb. And just before I left, I wanted to do a little proposal review from something one of my friends sent in. Now, I'm not going to say who it is because they haven't actually sent it in. He's just sent it to me for my opinion. But I think there's a lot of learnings and a lot of things that you guys can get some benefit from. So we're going to go ahead and break down a proposal of a real-life web design project with the total coming in at £90,000. So let's dive into it. So the first thing is what he's actually sent through. Now, what he's actually sent is an email and a spreadsheet. That's it. The email consists of a breakdown of the costs, and the spreadsheet consists of a project plan. So basically, there's a lot of things wrong with this. There's almost nothing right with it. But let's just go through it anyway. So the first things first is let's look at the email. I mean, basically, there's no benefits at all in this thing. There's not a single line or there's just nothing that indicates that the guy's actually listened to what my friend has had to say. Hasn't addressed anything. It's all about the costs, everything. There's not a single thing that justifies any of those costs at all, and that's fundamentally the problem. There's also this really weird thing where basically the costs are made up of how long it's actually going to take. So it's a per hour cost, and then justifies that by saying he's going to employ a designer and a developer to make it happen. Bit weird. So kind of, I don't really know how to describe this to you. Basically, it's like it's worked out on 7-day weeks, but you take the first 5 working days of one week and then 2 working days of the next week. So it's a really, really weird way of working it all out. So I don't really understand that, but basically says this thing's going to take 9 months based on that weird, wacky calculation. Then goes into explain the costs and the fact that he's going to have to hire 2 more people. And this is the thing that I think bugs me more than anything. It says, once you're happy with the details of the project plan, as well as the costings, I'll send through a final quote with the necessary changes. Well, there's 2 major problems with this. One, if you're happy with the costings, I'm going to adjust them. And second of all, with the necessary changes. But there's no questions in here that would indicate a change in any direction. There's not, it's not like, okay, here's this is an estimate, but if you can answer these questions, that'll help us, dig into it. So I don't really understand that, which is really kind of weird. Bad email, really bad email. Okay, so let's just jump into the spreadsheet. Okay, so this isn't actually as bad. It's not terrible, and I think more people could actually do more of this stuff. It's actually detailing quite a long project and detailing what is going to take place and roughly over what period. So it's quite cool from a project planning point of view, but I don't know how relevant it really is at the quoting stage. I mean, maybe it is. I think it's important to actually put that stuff in there, but the detail that they've gone into, I don't think is that important. And what they've actually done here, and if you are in the web design world, you'll know what half this stuff actually means, but if you're not, you won't. It's all just, I mean, I read a couple of bits off to you. I mean, it's all just like corporate speak: gather and analyze requirements, compile measurement documentation, whatever that is. Evaluate and select appropriate programming language and scalability options. I mean, seriously, this is not stuff that is for an end client. This is internal discussion amongst tech people. So keep that stuff away from your clients. It's bad. It's really, really, really bad. And it's just confusing. It's just confusing. You don't need to put jargon in these things in order to make them sound clever. The more relatable it is, the better. So it goes on and details the fact that this thing's going to take 40 weeks. Fine. Okay, all in all, that's tragic. It's absolutely awful. So I'm just going to rattle through what I would do in this scenario. So for starters, I would use Better Proposals, obviously. It is for a property website. This is to help South African locals buy a house themselves so they don't have to go through essentially pointless estate agent type stuff. It's quite unique. There's not that many people doing it, only a couple. So there's a good chance this thing could be pretty damn successful. But it's property. So maybe include some imagery that's actually relating to this thing, so it looks like you've actually spent more than 3 minutes working this thing out. Okay, so the next thing I would do in here is I would put in a proper introduction. I would spend some time really thinking about the person that is going to be running this project, the person that's paying you, your client. What do they want out of it? Where do they see it in a year, 3 years, 5 years? I mean, build up the vision of this thing. You know, you've sat there and you've listened to them sell this thing. It's been their life for a year probably at this point. You know, what is it about them that's, just talk to that. Talk to the vision, and you'll have a far more compelling proposal if you just literally did that and left it alone. If you just did that, talk to the vision of the project, especially with something like this, you're really going to find that it's a lot more relevant to the person that's actually going to be buying it from you. Okay, so the other thing is there's no actual specification. There's nothing. There's a project plan, but there's no spec. There's nothing that actually details any of these features. Now, some of them are completely custom and very, very unique. There's a lot of sort of crazy automation. I know a lot about this project, by the way. So there's a lot of automation and different things like that involved in it. And that needs explaining. You know, if you're saying this is how we're going to do this particular thing, this is how we're going to do that, and it's something that's very unique, you need to explain that stuff. It's no good just saying front end, back end, or whatever other bits of jargon. Okay, the cost is completely wrong. I've shot a video about this recently, about different ways that you can cost things up. And they've done it in the worst way possible. They've done it on a combination of an hourly rate, and then they've applied a profit on top of that. So it's a really, really bad way of doing things. What would be better is if they'd actually quoted a smaller chunk of this project and broke down the minimum viable product and got that going and charged on the value. So they kept the quote perhaps a little bit smaller and got the project going, and then they can build the thing up later on with iterations and user feedback. And lastly, there's nowhere that actually asks for the business. Why does no one do this? There's just nowhere where the guy actually says, we want to work with you. This is something that we want to do. Here are our ideas. We're as excited about this as you are. We can't wait to get going. There's none of that. And it's, yeah, we call these things proposals, right? But you're selling yourself. It's a sales document, right? But you've got to put some, I don't want to say emotion because maybe it's the wrong word, but there's got to be something that person, when they're sitting down reading this thing, there's got to be something that jumps out at them and says, yeah, these guys, they really want to do it. They're in it and they want to do a really good job of it. So, I mean, absolutely awful in my opinion. I mean, if I was giving these things ratings out of 10, it would be given a negative figure of some sort. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely awful, but it's great because it's allowed us to learn from it. So project plan was kind of cool. Maybe put that in. Less jargon. Stay away from jargon. It's awful. Yeah, I mean, lots to improve on, but hopefully this video's maybe helped them. But more importantly, I hope it's helped you. So until the next time, take care. See you later.